Okay, so this is the PAX demo of Schrodinger's cat burglar. So let's just jump into it. So we start with the little scene setting. This artwork was done by an artist called Tom Williams, who's really cool. He did the key art too. And yeah, it just sort of basically sets the scene for what player's going to play. There is a little bit of a jump from the end of this into how Mittens gets into the facility that she starts the game in. We hope that we'll be able to cover that jump. We know what happens there, but it's difficult to surface it. We don't want to make a level to play there, so we'll have to work out what we can do with that. But yeah, this style is very cool. It's slightly different to the current key art, which is kind of nice, quite graphic novel-y. This is one of these cutscenes that I kind of put together quite hastily. Hopefully it'll be good enough. But yeah, having all the detritus flying around really helps. This is where we're introduced to our hero Mittens. And our second in command, Lazy Susan. And these opening lines of dialogue are my tribute to Metal Gear Solid. They're the same as the start of Metal Gear Solid 1, I think. There she is, Lazy Susan, the hedgehog in the chair. But yeah, so this basically sets the game. This is how the game would start. So we just set a little bit of information going. And then yeah, this opening section is just to get players used to being a cat, essentially. So nothing too complicated to worry about, just jumping around and knocking things off desks. This is one of those weird things where you do play a cat burglar, but it just feels wrong for a cat not to be knocking things. So they're not the most stealthy cat burglar in the town, as it were. And also, biting things being her primary mode of interaction is kind of cool, so we get things you can bite onto and pull around. It's the same thing that works with the inventory system, is you bite things to pick them up. And yeah, this section here is just all about like getting people used to jumping, because the jumping system is a little funny. It mostly works fine. Like if you're up against a wall, you just jump up to things. If you're on an edge, you jump down to things. The only problem really is when you come to like this situation where there's an overhang and you can't get up to it. And yeah, because the game is played from a side view, and because you have two characters later in the game, you don't have access to many controls at once. We're limiting things to just, I'm playing on a PlayStation pad, but the trigger, the bumper, and the stick itself per cat. So we don't have jump up or jump down kind of buttons. So one button has to do with the job. So you hold down the bumper to build up your jump intensity, and if you release it, you jump. If you want to cancel that jump, like this, you hold it down, but then you can move the stick to deselect the jump, essentially. So you can break away without actually jumping if you didn't want to. We don't have many situations here, I think, where there's multiple options, but we do in the next room, so we can see how that works. But on the whole, players don't really have to worry about the jumping system. Just they need to use a jump button occasionally, so we have to make sure they're aware of it. Also, we've got this pop-up help system here, so every time you see a pop-up, you can come into this screen, which gives you the thing you saw plus a little bit extra information. So deep dive into the controls there, which is cool. And you'll see I've been picking up these things, which are called flagrante bucks. So these are basically the currency in the facility. So it's like a soft currency in the game, basically money, but themed around the company you're investigating. And yes, they let you use customization booths where you can buy various hats. And this is one of the things that we didn't have this initially in the game. For a long time there was no customization in the game, but it just felt like people would miss it if it wasn't there. And so many people talk about how they want to get their own cats in the game, so we've got different cat colours. We need to get in tuxedo cats. Everyone kept mentioning tuxedo cats at PAX, and also fur length, so you can sort of see how you can really push the chunkiness, as it were, along with collars and pendants and eye colour and hats. So for now I'm going to buy the blue baseball cap, so you can see we're wearing that. And also, again, a thing that people just, want to do in every cat game is to be able to meow. So the interact button is the meow button. So you can just meow, 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 meow over and over. We don't have a maximum or a cooldown on it. You can just keep tapping it repeatedly, which is pretty satisfying. And there's the emote wheel. So this is the thing that lets you do various different animations. And these are things I've just sort of done on occasion when I feel like it. So simple stuff like, yawning, loafing up, rocking out to big tunes, licking the bum, very important animation to have in a game, going around to go to sleep, and the pat the cat animation, so that we qualify as a can you pet the dog sort of style game, so you can pet yourself because you're a cat, and the genuinely terrifying muscle cat, which is just, why not? Why not have something like that in there? A number of people who saw this and were just like, I don't understand why this is happening in the game, pleases me greatly. But yes, that's just for fun. They don't really serve a purpose. Meowing does serve a purpose later in the game, not at this early stage anyway, but it does come in later. But yes, so this is like the playground for learning how to jump, basically. So we've got a few things, so you can just jump up little small boxes and down. Over here you can see there's a little robot mouse. If I get close, it runs away. And these are things that are just like, collectibles that you can find to jump on in the game. We've tweaked this from the PAX demo that people play to make it a little bit easier. So you just, because it's the first time you see it, so you just jump on a step ladder and then pounce on the mouse. And now I've got a mouse. And these form part of the currency system. So like, I think it's the fur length. You can use a mouse and some cash to change your fur length. Fur color is from a different currency system. And yeah, this talks about how to deal with like overhangs. So like in this situation, I'll just get rid of that thing. You can see how, you run under this thing, but if you want to jump up to it, you have to use the jump button. So you stand back, hold the jump, and up you go. We also have a situation here where there's two different jump possibilities. Do you want to jump down or do you want to jump up? And again, this is the thing where, on the whole, the game does the best guess for what you would probably want to do, but it can't be sure. So you have to hold down the jump button, and then you can use the stick to choose between the two different options. So if you want to jump up, you release and go up here, but you can also jump down if you wish. Yeah, it's one of those situations that we just can't avoid, so we can make it as pleasing as possible, but we're not going to be able to avoid situations where players are going to have to use the jump button to get through it. I should probably talk about the edge guard system as well. So the system runs in the background and is constantly looking for edges to make sure the cat can't jump off them and things like that. So alongside the jumping system, there's those are the two main helper systems in the game. We've got things here as well, like you'll see that the cat is running along the center of the beam. We have zones that keep the player locked to a particular axis to keep them focused on where they need to be. Anyway, let's push on. Yeah, interactions. So occasionally she'll just press things with her paw. There is a kind of a subtle distinction there in terms of what kind of interaction the cat can do. If it's anything involving using the mouth, so for example we've got lever switches where the cat jumps up and bites the lever switch with her mouth. She can't do that while holding an item, but if it's anything involving the paw, she can. So some things are limited in terms of whether you're holding an item or not. This is where we skip ahead. So in the actual game there's a chunk of level that we're just passing over here for the demo, just to get you further ahead. So you just jump in a tube. Also want to point out, when you emerge from the tube, there's some fluff, and that fluff is the correct colour if you change your cat colour. I had to go through and make sure that was the case, because that would be egregious if it was not. So yeah, let's build the story. And yes, so this big machine is called the DES, or Dual Event Synthesizer. So this is the big thing in the game that gives you your powers. It's probably a spoiler to say that you get your powers from this, but you can expect so. But yes, it's a bit of techno nonsense, but it ties into the story overall. And all this sort of stuff we mentioned here, you see mention of ether ore shards and phase separators, all ties into the story, and that builds up over time. And yes, in here you can see that you can hack things. So this laptop is something you can sit down and hack at. So if I interact, you'll see hacking away, and you can tap the buttons to make it go quicker. And this information gets put into your codex, so you can read all this stuff if you wish. For PAX, no one engaged with this, and we didn't tell people about it, because at a show people don't want to be reading stuff, essentially. They just want to play the game. In fact, everything you're seeing currently, we eventually removed from the demo, skipped you to being just the demo just after you come out of the machine, because this was just unnecessary. The side effect was that people didn't get tutorialized in jumping, but from this point on, the jumping wasn't too bad to get a handle on it anyway, so it was okay. But to quickly talk about some stuff, like when I first started working on this game, I was trying to make sure that the animations of the cat were really slick and really cute, and part of that was to make it so that the cat could like stand next to a desk and hack keyboard like you see here. This was pretty tricky to pull off with my initial rig. I made a version of the cat, but all the kind of shoulders and like the joints and stuff weren't quite sitting right. They kind of worked okay, they didn't really come together. But then I saw a GDC talk from an animator called Laura Lyko. She went by a different name back then, but she animated on Moss VR, and that character called Quill, little mouse character. And the space switching animation technique that she talked about there kind of blew my mind, and it was really easy to make your own one if you know a little bit of scripting in Maya, the animation software I use. So that really like unlocked things, and analyzing how cats move and stuff as well kind of showed to me that they're basically like bags of liquid. So all the kind of like the stuff about how joints are, you know, connected to skeletons, you need to be able to move everything everywhere when you're animating a cat to make it so that they can like be positioned correctly and stretch and squash and all that sort of thing. But yeah, so that came in invaluable for like all the animation for the game, and really inspirational. What have we got here? You can jump on cleaner robots, as would expect. We will at some point get in, hopefully, full costumes instead of just hats, so you can wear onesies as well. But yeah, speaking of which, let's go and look at the fur length. Now that we have a mouse bot, we can look at the other ones. We can have a scrawny cat or a fat cat. Let's go with a chunky cat for now, just to chunk up a little bit. Subtle thickness of the fur is very pleasing. A bit more hacking. Toot, 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 toot. And some vending machines. These are a little bit uninteractive at the minute, but later on when we get our powers, they come in a bit more handy. And also just having a lot of stuff you can just interact with as a cat to keep things engaging, because we are a puzzle game, and we're going to get into that section of things shortly, but the pacing from puzzle to puzzle kind of, it's nice to have downtime, as it were, which is why we've got a lot of this kind of, let's leave that for a second, a lot of this subsidiary stuff like smashables and knockables and things. Smash that, get more cash, hack the computer, a bit more lore, but we don't need to read about that for now. This is something I don't think people picked up on a demo, but all the lights in the machine in the background are blinking in time with the music. We've got a little bit of like music affecting the world, and the world affecting the music and stuff in the game, which is kind of cool. And yes, when I run down this corridor, we'll see she cropped up earlier, but there she is again, the shadow cat. Who is she? What is she? Is she a thing? Who can say? We're not going to get into that yet. The story does go deep into this, but the demo doesn't go too deep. But we just have a little... You know, there is a story behind all this, don't worry. There is a narrative, and it all ties up nicely, but just building that sense of foreboding. And yeah, this game, when we showed it at PAX in 2022, was very different. It was a third-person chase camera game, not this kind of locked camera that we have here. This cutscene remains mostly the same from those days, but yeah, then this machine, in fact, has like been untouched for a while. It was a good style guide piece that Ziggy, the artist on the project, did when he first came on. Looks pretty awesome. But yeah, I'll skip through this cutscene. People can play this when they get to the game. Essentially, you get trapped inside the machine. Things go wrong, you try and power it off. It's all a bit alarming. Bam. And then something happens. And then you come around. This is the point that we made the PAX demo start from when we edited it hastily for the last day. And as you can see, something weird has occurred. Oh, we turned off hats in that cutscene just because the animation broke the hats, but maybe we should put them back on again. It's probably better with the hats on. But yeah, this is the moment in the game when players realise that they are now in two places at once. And this is also the point when we tutorialise the control scheme, which is that you control one cat with the left stick and one cat with the right stick. And again, this is the core mechanic of the game. The idea that you can be in two places at once and you can fuse back into one cat at will. And then, of course, at any time you want, you can just split to two. And we now make it so that if you pull the sticks in the opposite directions, you kind of pull the cat apart, which feels very nice. And that's it. Off we go. So yeah, you can get used to stuff. Let's close that up. So you run around, right stick is one cat, left stick is the other. When you're playing in single player, you can swap over which stick is which, and if you look at the top right of the screen, you see that the cat head colours change, but not the cats themselves. So now it's like the left stick is the blue cat, right stick is the orange cat, and if you swap them back like that. In co-op mode, you actually basically swap the colour of the cats, so the players always know that they are the orange cat or the blue cat. And because of consequence of that, the world, I can probably show you this actually. Oh no, I can't because I haven't got a second gamepad in there. But the lighting in the world and all the colours in the world have to swap to match so that the colours stay resident. Because we have these things here called quantum shards, and you can only pick these up if the right cat is touching one or the other. There we go. If I was swapped over and then hit the swap button, it wouldn't work. The shards would change their colours around. And again, now that we are in two places at once, we can actually customise our cats separately. So cat 1 can have the baseball cap, and cat 2 can have the bread head. And similarly, let's go for fur length as well. Cat 2 can be normal fur length. So you see now when I split, we have two different looking cats, so you can kind of help tell which one is which by dressing them differently and colouring them differently and stuff like that, and they can meow independently, which is fun. And yeah, this section is to help players get used to their being in two-placeness. So the idea is lots of puzzles basically around one cat doing one thing up high and then one cat doing one thing down below. I won't spend too long on this, I'll just collect these quantum shards. And now I have to get this cat over. Oh, no, I need to rotate it a touch more. And there we go. Sharded up. Can I jump down from here? I think not. This is one of the problems as well, because we don't want the cat to be able to drop from too high, so we occasionally have to just keep you locked, but we can usually... There we go. You can jump down from quite high. But you have to make sure that one player doesn't leave the other one behind, because in this space we generally try and keep the players together in one room at a time without letting them run away too much, but you can see you can get pretty separated in this room, and so one cat can just get left behind. Let's not worry too much about these other bits, but there are things like draggables, and you can, if one cat jumps on top of it and the other cat's moving along, you can move the other cat. So that's how this one works. It's just join together, knock a few piggy banks around, get some cash. But anyway, the actual next section is through here. And this is where we start to bring in the core concepts that kind of keep the game going. So we've got things called, well, you've seen the pressure pads, we've got the paired switches, so you have to get your timing right on these. You have to press them simultaneously, and then you can get through. And this stuff is called Heisenberg energy. If you're inside it, you can't split. If you're outside of it and split, you can't enter it. So it's a kind of gating mechanic to make sure players stay together when they go through. And we have phase gates. And so these things are based on, you can only go through the colour you match. They were initially opposite colours, as in blue would stop blue but let orange go past. And that makes the most sense in my head, but it's just easier to run at the colour that matches your cat, so we swapped it over. So it's a little bit funky, but yeah, I think that's still toggleable in the controls. In some ways, I really wish that my brain worked so that would be the correct way around, but my brain doesn't. So blue goes to blue, and orange goes to orange. And as you can see, I'm controlling both cats at the same time. none of the puzzles in the game are going to require this. We may have bonus puzzles that are for dexterous players or co-op players, but mainline, we're not going to expect you to move 2 cats at once. That's, yeah, a bit complex on the old brain. But it's kind of a fun challenge to see how quick... Yeah, for speedrunners, can you get through the whole game like as quick as possible? Can you run your... Oh dear. So what happened here is quantum locking. Because the field kicked back in and the cat was inside it, the cat got quantum locked. So you have to let it back out again. But yeah, for speedrunners, twin stick control I think is quite an important thing to have. So they can get through the game as efficiently as possible. And again, we just skipped ahead again. So now it's into like level 2. So what we passed over was the end of level 1, and you move into a place called Dual Event Orientation, which is about getting new test subjects used to being in 2 places at once, essentially. And there is a story in the game about how this stuff works, and there's a key conceit is that in this facility they tried to get this technology working, this splitting technology. They can only get it working on inanimate objects, not on real objects, or real people or humans. And so it was all kind of mothballed, but you, coming through, are the first kind of real live creature to be split, so you can, like, all this stuff is just kind of set up and forgotten about, and now you've got to jump through the hoops to get out of it. Here we go. Yeah, this is a puzzle, and we'll talk about it in the next one actually, because this is relatively trivial. The thing here is to make it so that players have to split to get the item, the heavy item, and then they have to fuse to actually solve the puzzle, because you can't get in here when split. This is one of those situations as well where people often think, oh, I'll go and get a second heavy item, but when you respawn an item, the initial one gets destroyed. We've got like a 1 spawner to item efficiency thing. So yeah, pretty straightforward puzzles, these ones, just to get people used to things. And we have these situations in between which are just kind of pacing things, essentially, so that people can... it lets people refresh. Like, they don't have to worry so much about doing a puzzle in between different puzzles. They can just do some kind of relatively easy palate cleansing gameplay. Let's knock the pig with orange cat. Oh, and cat pounce with the blue cat. There we go. We've got a mouse bot, we've got shards, we've got some cash. Next time we see a customization booth, we can have a look around in there. And so yeah, let's talk about the hint system. So this puzzle has been around since I started working on the game in like 2018, and I think this puzzle is one of the first ones I came up with. It's called There and Back Again, and the idea is that you initially think, you know, split the cat to solve the puzzle, but you're gated away. And the way you solve it, as the hints are telling us, is to bring your full cat down to here, and then send your other cat back up to here, and then send your cat over here to get an item. And then when you've got the item, drop it up here, and when the item's there, you need to bring your cats back around. So you can see there's like hints all the way through the puzzle if you need them, but they're on the circle button. You never need to, they're never brought to you, they're just available if you need them. And I think that's the best way to go, not to have like a second character butting in and telling you how to complete the puzzle when you're going. Oh, look at that, who's there? Top left, secret G-Man style sighting of Shadow Cat watching your progress. But yeah, so we're definitely making it so that we're not spoon feeding you puzzle solutions and just letting you get used to them. So yeah, this is a smart key, and the idea here is this is like, you know, if you're carrying it, doors will open when you approach, and this is basically to kind of get used to the idea of a certain few things. So for example, this is a deep print field, you carry it in, it gets deleted, so we can't go back anymore. And this next puzzle goes a bit more deep into this stuff, because one of the interesting wrinkles about this game, and this is very like important part, is that you're not 2 cats, you're 1 cat in 2 places. So for example, if I pick up an item over here, both cats have the item, and it's hard to get that across to players without just telling them, you know, like letting them experience the thing. So that's what we're trying to do here with the smart key, is that when you pick it up, it has a pulse coming out of it, and you can see that the door over on this side spontaneously opens, and you have a pulse coming out of both cats. And this is our way of trying to get players used to the idea that, you know, without just explicitly telling them you have it in 2 places, letting them experience and realise they have it in 2 places. I don't know if we're fully successful on that yet. I think we still need to kind of work on these things a bit better, but you know, we're getting there. Toot toot toot. And yeah, the other conceit. Oh, let's jump in here. Let's dress the cats. Fur color. Oh, I haven't got enough money for these. Okay, I need to go smash a few pigs. But anyway, the other thing to flag up as well is that these deprint fields seem like a progress blocker. Like, how do I get this key past here? It's impossible. And I've seen a lot of players try and get their head around this and get so close. But the key thing is, if you want this key to be on the other side of the field, you have a way of doing it immediately. If you're on both sides of the field, you can pick up with one and drop with the other. And now you've sneaked it past, and you can just get into this side room and smash yourself a piggy, get some more cash. Don't think this is going to be enough to afford a new skin though. Also, this is another red herring. People often look at this, realise that the shard is like floating in midair, and think that they have to use the chair to get through. That isn't the solution. We need to make it so... it used to be able to jump onto chairs, but they cause problems. We had to take that concept out. So you just have to jump from desk to desk to pick it up. But yeah, the chair is a bit of a red herring, so we should probably remove that. Another thing to flag up as well is that when you split, you have a kind of radial pulse come out. So you see the bookshelf here, when you knock it, books fly everywhere. Quite a few just vanished, actually. I think they must have gone through the collision. But yeah, trying to make it so that there are these like extra facets to your skill set. So when you split, there's a kind of an impact on the world around you. So this is the last puzzle in the demo. This is an interesting one because, like, the first move, you often see a pressure pad. You think that's the first move, and that's actually not the first move. First move is to get the blue cat to come down and step on the pressure pad. Then the orange cat can go through up here. Then the blue cat can follow. And now you can fuse together to get through the Heisenberg field. And then the next phase of the puzzle is a similar situation, but you can actually solve it in a number of ways. And you've seen a lot of people kind of tie themselves in knots a bit about this. They're like, okay, how do I get through? So if I get this one here, then I can send this cat through, but now what do I do? So maybe I need to get this item over here, and I've seen quite a few people run in this way and then get stuck and, yeah, tying themselves in knots again. But there's actually, I think, at least 2 different ways to solve the puzzle. And the kind of intended way is what I'm doing here, which is use the heavy weight that you get from the side on this pressure pad, and then you just repeat what you did at the start, which is stand the blue cat on that pressure pad and then run through after the cat. And now you can hit these paired switches. But the other solution is to share the item across to that side, and then you can run the orange cat in, and then when you reprint the item, it removes it from that side, changes the field blue, and now you can get the blue cat through. So there's a couple of different ways to approach that, but this is not actually that complex, but it's really leveraging the mechanics of the game, and it's like a nice, not too hard skill check for players at the end of the PAX demo. I think everyone I've seen does get through it. They may take a little while, but they do solve it eventually, which is nice. I think it's it gives people something to chew on at the end. But not spoon feeding them, but giving them a quick check. We've got hackable ATMs, so you can get more of your F-bucks. And we've got, these things are the same things we saw at the start of the demo, but you need to be in 2 places at once, so both of you need to pull at the same time to open it. Let's jump through. And this takes us through to the end of the demo. And this is actually jumping ahead to like level 3 in the game, just to get a little bit of narrative to finish up with. And because it's a demo, let's give people a little something. So pigs full of cash. And when I said earlier that when you split you send out a concussive pulse, the opposite is true as well. So if you fuse, you suck in collectibles from a greater distance, so you can kind of just fuse together to pick up your last little bits. So let's see, what have we got in here? What colour are we going to make these cats? I reckon we'll have the fat cat be tabby, and the other cat be ragdoll. We got money left over? We do. Okay, in that case I want short fur. And do we have more for another hat? Yeah, let's go. Wait, what do we have for the other cat? Yeah, let's put a witch's hat on this cat. So yeah, again, you can see now the cats look quite substantially different, which is handy. So, you know, very clearly two different styles. That's what the quantum shards kind of come into it, is like the idea that if you have a quantum shard, you have the possibility of a different cat, as it were, so you can kind of dress them differently. We don't need to justify it, it's just, you know, dress up, but it's always nice to have some like sci-fi nonsense in there. But yeah, as you can see, the game isn't just side-scrolling, like moving from the side. We have the occasional kind of nice vista like this, and the idea here is that you'll have gone through a whole bunch of stuff trying to escape, and at this point in the game you are so close. You've got like access to the elevator to take you up to the surface, so it's there you go. Like, you feel like you've completed the game, hop on, ride the diagonal Akira style elevator up. Every game has to have an Akira style elevator, it's very important. And yeah, everything looks good. Also, while we're waiting for the elevator to go up, which is building tension, and you can hear some of Ollie Horton's music here, who's doing the music for the game, and it's very cool. But if you run your cat in a circle, you can get it, if you get the timing right, you can get it to chase its tail. There we go. So we've got a little bit of cat stuff in there as well. Just a little extra challenge for people. And here it is, final bit of dramatic narrative stuff to finish up with. As you can see, we've left the hat on in this cutscene, but you'll see her ears poke through. I don't think it's a problem. I think we should just leave the hats on for every cutscene. Wow, making contact with the shadow cat, building the story, and then a big moment to finish. There we go, down into the depths. What awaits her? Well, if you play the demo on Steam, you can play a little bit of what awaits Mittens down in the depths, because the Steam demo features a level from around about halfway through the game called Split Labs. So the idea is that you kind of work your way through the rest of the facility, see a bit more, edging ever closer to finishing the game, understanding the secret, avoiding, stopping whatever Shadowcat was talking about there with the end of all possibility. Big earth-shattering stuff. But yeah, hope you enjoyed that little insight into the Steam demo, the PAX demo, that if you weren't at PAX you weren't able to play. But yeah, you get to have a little look at it here. So yeah, thanks for joining me.